Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast right here on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. I am Biggs. He is Grindberg. We are the two best fantasy football analysts in redraft football in our price range. And we're here to tell you about the Senior Bowl fallers. I spent a week in Mobile last week watching the Senior Bowl practices and game. This week I am in the state of Louisiana. I'm currently in Baton Rouge, but I've been making the trek down to New Orleans and covering Super Bowl goings on all week, getting ready for to be part of the media pool on Sunday during the big game where the Philadelphia Eagles finally end the reign of the Andy Reid dynasty. No three-peat for the Chiefs, but we're here to finish up my Senior Bowl analysis and talk about the fallers. How you doing, Mike? You getting ready for this Super Bowl? You got a big party planned?
You know what? No, I don't got a party. I just go hang out with all the people from my home league, and it's going to be
just more par for the course. Boring. Chiefs win again. Blah blah blah. No excitement.
Mike goes hangouts with his home league guys and girls, and then watch the Chiefs win a Super Bowl, just like, just a repetitive motion. And I
literally booked a 2-week trip to the Southern United States with the off chance that I was going to see any other team in the Super Bowl besides the Kansas City Chiefs. And while I was flying from San Diego to Charlotte, North Carolina, or maybe it was the Charlotte to Mobile flight, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Bills, and I landed going, oh crap! It's another Chiefs Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. I'm excited to see how they come out. I mean, the Eagles are looking really tough right now. They are a little banged up, so we'll have to see how that plays out. It's going to be a great game. Everything's on the line.
Yep, there's a reason they're called the chefs and the refs. All right, let's get to these fallers. So we're just going to have a couple. We got to go run over and get in a different show. But I'm going to tell you my biggest faller of the entire week, and that was Xavier Restrepo of the University of Miami. He's a wide receiver. And I got to the Senior Bowl practices on Tuesday, and immediately Restrepo was running undefended routes. And he looked like he was wearing wellies over his cleats. If you don't know what wellies are, they are big rubber boots that are bigger than your shoes that you can wear outside when it's raining and muddy. And it looked like he was running routes in Wellingtons. He's also not very big. He looks slow. He's got head and feet. Of all the guys that I saw at the Senior Bowl, at the wide receiver position, with their route running, watching their reps and all that stuff, he was the one guy that I looked at and I was like, God, I'm not going to have him on any team ever.
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw and from what I heard, he was having a hard time with defenders and man coverage. His route running, which was, supposed to be one of his highlights, was a bit sluggish. He wasn't as fast either. So, a guy that isn't, prolific, he can't really play the outside much. So as a slot receiver, that's a tough pill to swallow. I agree with you there, Biggs.
Now there was a thing where I went into the Senior Bowl and I talked about on the last episode, when you have expectations for a guy and they don't meet those expectations, that's when they truly lose your interest. Now, the reason that I knew Xavier Restrepo's name, and I did get to do a walk and talk interview with him, and he was super, super cool. I asked him about his time in Berkeley when Miami played Cal. He was super nice, and it hurt to knock him off of my draft board. But he was a guy that I had high expectations for because throughout the college season in 2024, I would be watching college football, and a lot of times Miami was on, and I would be distracted on my phone or whatever, and it's in the 4 box, and I hear the Miami commentary, and then I hear Xavier Restrepo, and I just heard his name over and over and over again. He was doing things, and then I watched him play, and he was absolutely outclassed by almost every wide receiver that I saw there.
Okay. Yeah. So if he doesn't even pass your eye test, there's a huge red flag there. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about a faller, and I'm going to talk one at the quarterback position. It's tough to have them fall when, this quarterback class is so thin, but, Jalen Milroe did not do much to me from what I saw, especially in the first day. Didn't do much to boost his draft stock, that's for sure. When guys like Jackson Dart that comes in and raises his draft stock, it's just a matter of making sure that you can hit your wide receivers and in the open field, and it just wasn't happening. He has that dual threat ability, and that's what a lot of people were looking for, but he didn't look like he was a polished quarterback whatsoever. He still has a long way to go before we can even consider him as a starter. His college career was inconsistent. He's not great at the ball passing, and it's his completion percentage 55% back in 2023. That's not going to cut it. 1,100 rushing yards, that's pretty darn good, but when you couple in just throwing 26 touchdowns in 2023, that upside is going to be diminished, and Milroe didn't do much at the Senior Bowl to raise his stock from what I saw. I'm intrigued to see what bigz thought of him from his eye view.
Huge arm, built exactly like Justin Fields. Not a lot of accuracy, especially short. He is really the 180-degree opposite of Bo Nix. Bo Nix throws short a lot, and he's got rushing upside. Jalen Milroe has the rushing upside, and he throws a huge deep ball, but he's not going to be able to march the team down the field. Think of Russell Wilson with the Steelers this year. Now, obviously, Russell Wilson is a different quarterback than he was 10 years ago. But this year, there was a lot of deep stuff from Russell Wilson and not a whole lot else. And that's what I see as Jalen Milroe's current skill set. That doesn't mean he's not going to produce in fantasy. That's going to be determined by his draft capital and what team decides to give him a chance as a starting quarterback, which still is not out of the realm of possibility. But me personally, in my quarterback evaluations, I have to have somebody who throws first and can also run, not somebody who runs but has to work on their throwing ability. Some people are kind of comping him to Josh Allen and saying there are throwing issues that he can work on at the next level. That's fine, but that's for 2026. That's for 2027. That's not for 2025.
Fair. Do you have another faller there, bigz?
Not really. There were some guys who kind of like came out a little bit slow. I wanted Bashal Tutin to wow me, and he didn't, but that was because he was playing at 80% after having an injury. Jalen Royals seemed to be going kind of half speed. He's a guy that I've been tracking with Campus to Canton leagues for a couple years. Super high on him, and he's going to do well in the NFL. This just wasn't the week for either of those two guys, especially when you had some of the names like Jalen Knoll and Jack Besh. They were the ones who were the risers. Jalen Royals looked a little bit shaky the first day. And Bashal Tutin he looked like he wasn't putting out maximal effort. There was a reason for it. So this is a long off season. We've got the combine and pro days still to go. We do have some pretty good measurements, so those profiles are starting to get filled in, and we'll see later on down the road where these guys sit.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna bring up a scenario to you because I got a faller, and it's not because of it, based off of his performance. Maybe be based off of another guy's performance that just kind of made him fall a little bit for me in my rankings here, and that's Harold Fannin Jr. because Isaiah Arroyo made the show this week at the Senior Bowl. You talked about him in depth on our last show as your number one riser, and a guy that I had as my tight end 2 in the class has kind of fell down after I did some more research. Now I have Loveland ahead of him, and now Arroyo's ahead of him. So, Fannin Jr. is now my tight end 4, which before the Senior Bowl, I had him as my tight end 2. So, just based off of, some people, floating ahead, I'm a little bit concerned about his blocking ability. He's not the biggest at the tight end position, 6'4", only 230. That's the size you lack. And, coming from that, he's going to be a great pass catcher. But if you can't block in those situations, that raises a little bit of a red flag for me. So I'm a little bit lower on Fannin Jr. after the Senior Bowl, especially because Arroyo, like you mentioned in our last show, he just lit it up and he was just the talk of the Senior Bowl for the 4 days there. So I'm excited to see what Arroyo can do, and I'm still pretty high on Fannin, but at the same time, he was a faller because of that.
There are a couple of guys in this class that they remind me a lot of Johnny Walker or Johnny Wilson out of last year's tight end class, where they are listed as tight ends, but they kind of play more like a wide receiver skill set. And Fannin's one of them. There's no doubt he's athletic as heck, and he's got the profile to be a productive receiver in the NFL. It's just going to be a matter of a team taking a chance on him being a first and second down guy, or just a third down package guy, similar to what we saw from Theo Johnson in New York or Jatavian Sanders in Carolina. Oronde Gadsden Jr. is the other one of this class who kind of fits that bill. It's going to remain to be seen how much they are able to wow their position coaches in blocking during rookie camp and then in training camp. OTAs and that stuff. So Fannin was I don't think he practiced on Tuesday. I think I saw him on Wednesday. I know I saw people were filming on Thursday that I saw, but he didn't spark anything with me. I know he's productive and he's athletic and everything. I think you were right. He was surpassed by Arroyo in this class.
And then that's the only reason why. I mean, we're so early in the off-season stages that, when we're putting together our rankings and stuff like that, you're kind of just playing off of what you saw, what consensus is, and now we're starting to put these pieces together. And Arroyo,
everything changes with the combine, then everything changes again with the pro day, then everything changes again with draft capital of the 25 NFL draft, and then everything changes again with rookie camp, then everything changes again with OTAs, then everything changes again with training camp, then everything changes again with the 53-man roster release. Then things happen during the season, like Chris Godwin getting hurt and Jalen McMillions becoming one of the best wide receivers of the rookie class. So we got a long way to go, buddy.
Yeah.
This is initial, just, here are some names for you to keep an eye on.
And the beauty about our rookie guide that we're working on and putting out for the Fantasy Football Advice Network is that, we're going to have it in stages. So we're going to roll one out before the combine, and then we're going to have post-combine analysis, and then we're going to have post-draft analysis to keep you all informed as we make these decisions, as we get that information as it comes to you. So,
exclusive to members of Fantasy Sports Advice Network.
You know it, and it's going to be big. So we got a huge team working on it, working really hard, and I'm Grindberg, and this is a fantasy forecast on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Now, bigz, bring us home like you always do.
We hope you win.
We hope you win, everybody. Peace.